You are watching God of Wonder TV to refill, refresh, and resent by the word of nation.
Uwepo wako, fadhili zako, upendo wako, nasema asante. Rehema zako, fadhili zako, heshima zako, mimi nasema asante. Nasema asante Baba. Mimi nasema asante. Umetenda maishani mwangu. Nasema asante. Yale yote umenitendea Baba, mimi nakusifu.
Ni kweli kabisa.
Umenitoa mbali ukanifanya mimi mwana wako, mimi nakusifu. Nasema asante. Nasema asante. Nikiangalia mazuri yote uliyotenda. Nasema asante Baba. Nasema asante. Ulivyoponya wagonjwa, wapofu pia kuona. Nasema asante. Nasema oh
Kione kigepu, we, oh, que no eres.
amutungate miakenge mũgwanja njakukundetierire kĩoneki gĩake gĩa kĩhiko nĩkĩahingire nĩ tondũ wa gweterera nĩkĩahingire nĩ tondũ wa gweterera
kĩoneki gĩaku ũkĩhoere na ũkĩandĩke handũ na namba nene wetereire tondũ ti-itherũ gũtirĩ iko gĩtakahingio tondũ ti-itherũ gũtirĩ iko gĩtakahingio.
Twakuhoya tuwe wetereri tondũ gweterera nĩ kũrĩ umithio rĩmwe nĩ tũragwo nĩ cioneki citũ tondũ wa ngoro kwaga wetereri tondũ wa ngoro kwaga wetereri kĩoneki gĩaku ũkĩhoere na ũkĩandĩke handũ na namba nene ũkirĩrĩrie wetereire tondũ ti-itherũ gũtirĩ iko gĩtakahingio tondũ ti-itherũ gũtirĩ iko gĩtakahingio kĩoneki gĩaku ũkĩhoere na ũkĩandĩke handũ na namba nene tondũ wa ngoro kwaga wetereri.
Praise the Lord. Bwana asifiwe. I'm excited to be back. This year I've not been able to be with us. My name is Ann Karambu. This is Marriage Therapy on God of Wonder TV. It's been a while since I was able to do this. I'm glad to be back today, and I know we are going to learn together. So we've been talking about marriage, and we began at the point of dating, and we've talked about dating, we talked about courtship, and now we've been talking about what is this marriage. And this content is meant for this young person who is getting into marriage, so that as they get into marriage, they know what is this that it's required of me, even as I get into the marriage relationship. Of course, it does not mean that the content will not help that person who is married. It will, but of course, it is a guide to that young person. As you begin from dating, as you continue all the way into courtship and even planning for the wedding and everything, you know exactly what it is that is required of you. So today we'll be talking about biblical purpose of marriage. What is this that God intended when he began marriage? And just before we begin those points, I would want to say that just like I've been saying, that the fabric of society is marriage. The fabric of society is marriage. What does that mean? It means that every society is formed by families. the kind of families that are in that particular society is what determines the kind of society we'll be having. The kind of government that we will have as a nation, it's determined by families. The kind of churches we will have is determined by the families that we have. The kind of schools, institutions of learning, everything in our society is determined by marriage, because that is where it all begins. What happens when the marriage or the marriage fabric is broken? The society is broken. When the marriage fabric is affected, the whole society is equally affected. And maybe that is where we are at right now. Every other day, of course, like just the other day, even in our county here in Karambu, we had several suicide cases, people killing themselves and killing children. All these are challenges that will come because of broken relationships, broken marriages, broken families. So when we are talking about godly purpose, this is the intention of God from the beginning. What is this that God had intended when he was formulating the family? We are coming to that with that understanding, knowing that this is the bedrock of society. This is what forms the foundation of society. I know, of course, at times when we are talking, we will say that the society is spoiled, or the people of nowadays are spoiled, or we are living in a different generation. But allow me to say, before we get there, it is the family that is normally affected. There is an area I have been talking a little bit. Allow me to just introduce this purpose properly. Because we have not given emphasis on marriage, because we have not given the right emphasis on what marriage is, we start messing as early as teenage. And by the time a child is in their 20s, in their 17, in their 16, they have already gotten confused about the whole concept of marriage. And that's why our conversation here, those who have been following the other sessions, is that we say dating begins at teenage. The child needs to understand that this is not the time to allow themselves to mess up or get confused about relationships. Because the moment you get confused about relationships at teenage, it is going to affect all the way into your marriage 20, 15 years later. Although at the point you are a teenager, it looks like you're having fun. And of course, the concept again of sex before marriage, these are things that God had put very clear as guidelines, as things that would help us, shield us from heartbreak, shield us from situations where we will find ourselves confused about marriage. So, what is the purpose of marriage? What is this that God intended that marriage would accomplish? Now, after understanding that it is the foundation, the bedrock, the fabric of society, now we can begin understanding. When I am saying I would want to get married at 25, I would want to get married at 20, 25, what am I talking about? What is this that I am getting into? So the first purpose is for companionship. God intended that man and woman would have companionship. Allow me to say that companionship is not just a partner. It is not just a person you're with. It is a companion in every area. Spiritual, our walk with God, Remember, if I am born again and the person I have gotten married to is also born again, it means now even ministry, we will do it better. Because both of us will encourage each other in the journey of salvation. The next thing is how we handle our finances. I am working in this particular area, and the other person is working in the other area. By the time we are combining those finances, of course, we are in a better place. Is it the aspect of managing the home? There is something a man cannot do on his own, and there is something a woman cannot be able to do on their own. So when you come together as a couple, you have the ability of being able to work together as a couple. You're able to work together. And now that companionship is adding value to each other. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 18 talks about, then the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him. Remember, the word there is helper. So, of course, by the time the man is being brought a helper, he was already doing something. So, meaning this person is coming as a support system. I know how marriage has been warped, and it's like it has been given a whole different definition. And of course, there is this aspect of a man must be having this amount of money before you marry, and you must be having this maybe cars, and you may be having this job with this six-figure and salary. All those things, I am not saying they are not important, but that should not be our driving force. If that is our driving force, we lose the purpose. Because yes, you may meet that person, or both of you would be even stable financially, but things happen, and you find yourselves not as stable as you used to be. Does it mean you break the relationship? No. Does it mean it affects your relationship? It shouldn't. In fact, it is during those hard times that you are supposed to even cling to each other more and support each other more, because you've understood the concept of companionship. So the key thing here is that God wanted a companion for one another. Allow me to just get it a little bit deeper. When someone is single, to some extent, it's like you really do not have a home. Because even if you are at your mother's home, you will always say that it is our home, not my home. But the moment you get married, it is different. You will now say, this is my home. So that companionship also gives you a place, ownership, a place where you can say, I own a home. I have children. I have land. I have properties. I have these that we are growing together with my spouse. Amos chapter 3 and verse 3 says, do two walk together unless they have agreed to meet? Do two walk together unless they have agreed to meet? Now, what is required again now for companionship is that agreement, compatibility. Are you able to agree? Are you able to speak in one language? Because one of the things that has affected many marriages today, it is division. And of course, the moment I come with my own vision, remember, I am coming as a helper, as a companion, as a partner. But if I come and I start implementing my own agenda in the marriage, which is contrary to that of my partner, I will already create a division. And of course, the next thing that we will be having is divorce. So divorce happens when we have two visions being accomplished together. The moment we are not able to agree what Amos chapter 3 and verse 3 is saying. The moment we are not able to agree, there is going to be division, which is going to cause divorce. And of course, when divorce happens, you can imagine the pain, the torture, the devastation. And just like Miles Monroe calls it, he says that divorce is worse than death. Because unfortunately, you are not able to forget your partner. It doesn't matter which country you go to. It doesn't matter how apart you are. You will always remember you were once married to that person and that person hurt you. So instead of coming to a relationship and bringing in that division aspect, and you find yourselves not being able to be compatible, at the very point of when I am planning, it is important to know that I am coming as a companion, I am coming as a partner, I am coming to be able to complement one another. The next purpose is enjoyment. Number 2. Marriage is for enjoyment. Unfortunately, today, many people are enduring in marriage. That was not the intention of God. Remember the verse we just read in Genesis. God is saying it is not good for a man to be alone. Then there is no way God would have brought in a woman to a man so that they endure. But of course, when the foundation is not right, where I began is not right. One, the foundation is not Christ. Remember, God is supposed to be the foundation of our marriage. When the foundation is, maybe I just got married because I became pregnant. Maybe I got married because I was after their property. Maybe I got married because I was lonely. I remember there's a time we talked about those issues, reasons not to marry. Enjoyment only comes when we connect with one another at the right way, in the right way, and in accordance to the purpose and plan of God. Of course, what is this that will bring enjoyment? We will talk about physical intimacy. We are talking about a sexual relationship. Now, the only place that is allowed to have sexual enjoyment is in marriage. But look at how the enemy has taken the very same thing that God has prepared and packaged for marriage alone. Look at how it is used. Today, sex is used for advertisement. It's used for sale. It is used to do marketing. It is used to earn money. People are using it to even increase their followership online. I just need to come and bring sexualized information, and the next minute, my account will be blowing with followers. Because the intention of the enemy is to distort the plan of God. The intention of the devil is to always distort the plan of God. And how does he distort it? He distorts the plan of God by deception, bringing a truth, a lie that looks like the truth, just like he did to Eve. And of course, the question was, did God really say? So that is the same conversation. Did God really say that one should only enjoy sex with a person of the opposite sex? Can we also not enjoy it with somebody of the same sex? I mean, it is what I want. It is what makes me happy. It is a lie of the enemy. And the intention, remember when the devil is presenting his deception, he will never show you the consequences. Like when the enemy is bringing in fornication. Remember, the Bible is very clear on the aspect of sex before marriage. When he is presenting it, it is packaged as the most enjoyable thing that will ever happen to you. In that package, there is nowhere where there is sexually transmitted diseases. There is no HIV and AIDS inside there. There is no broken homes packaged in that package. It will never show you how dysfunctional you will raise your children when infidelity has come in. It will never show you how it will bring disagreement and the divorce we were talking about up there. So when that package is packaged to us, it looks as the best thing. I know even as I am talking right now and someone is listening to me, and like, on that one, just leave it the way it is. But you know, the principles of God do not change. It doesn't matter whether we like it or we agree with it. The principles of God remain. The Bible says in Hebrews 13:4, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled. When we are talking about the marriage bed being undefiled, it does not talk about it when now you get married is when you should not defile. It talks of even before you get married, that bed should never be defiled. I remember, I think I've said on this very platform again, that when a young girl is having a sexual relationship with a young man who they are not married to, that is unrotary, because that is someone else's husband. That is someone else's wife. I mean, we cannot change that. It is a principle. Does it have consequences? Yes. And that's why we will have heartbreaks. We have depression. We will have people devastated, people who are having wrong self-image, because I have been trampled upon by so many people until I have a broken image of who I am. God was shielding us from all that. And of course had kept enjoyment, sexual enjoyment, to be only in marriage. And sex is not built for any other place apart from marriage relationship. And that's why any other form of sexual enjoyment is sin, because it is against the law and the plan of God. And really, it's not about the plan and of God. It is the consequences we suffer afterwards. Because sin as a way, there's a way sin looks. Sin looks attractive. It looks attractive when you have not done it. Look at when someone is planning to rob a bank. Of course, you're imagining how I will get the millions. And of course, the plan of how I will buy these lucrative things and everything. But what are the consequences of robbing the bank? What are the consequences of killing someone? It may look very interesting when I have not done it. And that is the deception of the enemy. And unfortunately, the generation we are living in today, sometimes I almost imagine like the traditional aspect used to be a little bit better. There were morals, there were moral values that were being followed, there were principles, and people used to value those morals. No wonder we are having a broken society, because we have turned enjoyment that is supposed to be enjoyed in marriage, we have turned it to be enjoyed everywhere. And in turn, it is not now enjoyment, but torture and pain. I know it's not a very interesting conversation. Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 18 says, let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. Wife, not girlfriend. These words of baby mama and baba daddy, those words, we have just invented them because of brokenness of sin. It is the deception of the enemy that has placed us in that place. Sometimes I pity our children and the pain they go through because of our own sins. That child who will have to suffer being raised when they are HIV positive, maybe because the parents decided to move enjoyment from marriage and take it to a wrong place. Or that child that has to suffer because the parents have divorced. The child that has to suffer because the parents are constantly fighting because there is someone who is unfaithful somewhere. And every single day it's fights. That was not the plan and purpose of God for marriage. The third one is completeness. Completeness. So God's plan, there is no way a man would have raised a child on their own. There is no way a woman would have raised a child on their own. So God was bringing a man and a woman to complete each other. So I come as whole, as a woman. The man comes when he's whole, and we complete each other with our efforts beyond the bearing of children. It is abilities. It is the roles that I come with as a woman. Because, of course, the role of a woman and that of a man are different. Although we are living also in a society where society also wants to tell us, of which I don't know whether it's society or it's the family, we want to tell us that the man can be like a woman. It is not possible. So marriage was for completeness. So as long as a person is single, there is a completeness they have not been able to receive. And that's why, of course, you realize a single person will always be pursuing and pursuing to reach this place where they can be able to feel complete in a marriage relationship. And I am not saying that when someone is single, they are not complete. That's not what I am saying. It is when now they come together, there are things they will accomplish together. One of them being raising of children. Because one cannot raise children when they are single. You cannot be able to produce a child on your own. So, of course, that completeness that comes. We get in Genesis chapter 2 from verse 22 up to 24 says, "And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man." Now remember, God has taken a rib from a man and produced a woman. So, of course, meaning there is this incompleteness that a woman will always live with. There is this incompleteness that a man will always live with, because there is a part of him that was taken away from him. This at last is bone of my bones. That is Adam saying, "And flesh of my flesh. He shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So intention of God was a male and a female, when they come together, there will be completeness, wholeness, fruitfulness. The fourth one, fruitfulness. There's one thing I have realized that happens every time after marriage. There is this growth that comes. Of course, one of it is just the physical addition of, either you used to be slim and you just find yourself, you've become big, and there's this peace that comes, and there's this wholeness. So marriage is for fruitfulness. And the fruitfulness, allow me to say, it's not just the bearing of children, which is also key. It is very important. I will get to it. But fruitfulness in every area. If I had a gift before I was married, when I get married, that gift is supposed to grow more. Because now I have a support system that is helping me to grow more. And remember, the plan and the intention of God of every human being is to continue with creation. That was God's purpose for man. Although, unfortunately, when we arrive here, we get satisfied and we forget our assignment and we start enjoying the things of this world and forget our assignment, that we are representatives. We've been sent. And there will be a day that we will be recalled back to where we came from. So fruitfulness, how can I be able to live the world better than I found it? Am I good in speaking like I am doing? Fruitfulness in the same. Can I write? I write. Can I be able to sing music that is going to impact the world? Do it, and do it in a good way, because I have a support system. So fruitfulness is what God created marriage for. Now, of course, there is the issue of raising children. Now, this is also where God's intention was that man, when they come together, and a woman, they will be able to raise godly children that will raise a godly generation. When I was beginning, I talked about how society is influenced by the family. So the intention of God was that by the time a woman and a man are coming together, they already have a relationship with him. And because they have a relationship with him, they will raise godly children who are going to also raise godly children. And that's why if we were to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6 and also Psalms, I think 78 there, it talks of telling the next generation the laws of God. We can only be able to raise the next generation and teach them the laws of God if we have those laws ourselves. But how will we do it when we have not been fruitful in being able to grow in the area of knowing God and being able to fit in his plan and purpose for marriage? So, when the children come, we are supposed to raise them in a godly way, so that by the time they are also raising their children, they will use the information we give them about God and who God is to pass it on to the next generation, so that there will not be told of a generation that did not know the Lord. That was the plan and intention of God. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26 says, "And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it." Where are we multiplying? Where are we filling the earth? Yes, I know we are filling the earth with children. How are we subduing it? Being able to be in control and in charge, because that is our purpose, to dominate the earth, not people. We are to dominate the earth, not people. Blessed, that is Psalms 112 verse 1 and 2 says, "Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who greatly delights in his commandments. His offspring will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed." Oh, that we will be able to raise a generation of children who love the Lord genuinely, because we loved the Lord genuinely. I know it is a challenge, but we can do it with the help of God. But we have to be intentional. We have to be intentional, to be fruitful, to be able to leave godly offsprings on others we live, to be able to become fruitful in our area of gifting, to be able to be fruitful in our career, fruitful in every aspect of our life. The next one is protection. So the husband is to protect the wife by laying down his life for her. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So number one mandate of a husband in a marriage relationship is protection. And even one of the definition of a father is protection. Of course, that protection that he offers to the children and the husband and the wife. But again, because of that distortion of the way we have distorted the word, this is a role again that has not been done right. Instead of the man using their strength to protect the wife, they use their strength to beat them up and to control them, that they cannot be able to live in their God-given potential. They cannot thrive in their God-given potential because of brokenness of sin. And of course, wrong teachings and deception of the enemy. The many things that we have been taught, that a woman is not told everything, that a woman is only believed when, I think after many times, I mean those things that we listen to, deception, that has made us not be able to be fruitful as God intended us to be. So God created the man to protect the woman, just like Christ gave his life. That is Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 25. The wife is also to protect the home. So the work of the wife is the homemaker, is the one who makes the home be a heaven. Remember, the man is not given the nurturing ability. It is the woman who has been given the nurturing ability. There, as much as the man would really want to do it, it is the woman with the nurturing ability. And of course, for a home to be established, it requires that nurturing of the woman. So the wife is to protect the home. Older women likewise are to be relevant in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good. That is Titus chapter 2 and verse 3 to 5. They are to teach what is good and so train the young women to love their husbands and children and to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their husbands, that the word of God may not be reviled. So the aspect of protection, as the husband is protecting the wife and the children, the wife is also nurturing the home. That nurture, even of children, look at from birth all the way to almost 5 years, 7 years. It is the woman who is closest to the children. You're the one that is feeding, you're the one changing, you're the one cleaning the baby. And I'm not saying the man should not do it. But you're the one closest. Because as much as we would want the man to be there, especially on the aspect of breastfeeding, that is the woman that will be doing that. And we have been given that ability to nurture the home. So God intended that in marriage there will be protection. I'll feel safe. When I'm in a marriage relationship, I'll feel safe with all my flaws. I'll feel safe with all my weaknesses. I will not hear my stories being talked out there by my own husband. I will not go talking about my husband out there and exposing his weaknesses. We will be able to protect one another. Even when our children do things that sometimes are not interesting, we will also not go telling everybody out there. A family, a setup, or a marriage was meant to be a place where we can be able to protect one another. And because of time, I feel like we will be able to look into the other 5 purposes, which is, of course, a type of Christ. There is sanctification, there is support and trust, there is mutual honor and respect, and, of course, being able to be God's representatives on earth. So I would want us to end there, and next Tuesday, we'll be looking at how is marriage a type of Christ in the church? And of course, being able to understand how can I be able to model the church through marriage. I believe we've been able to be blessed, understanding companionship, enjoyment, completeness. We've also been able to understand that part of fruitfulness and protection, those 5 purposes of marriage. And of course, the moment we are able to align ourselves with what the purpose of God is, we will not abuse the institution of marriage. We will not abuse one another. We will not cause pain to our own children. So may the Lord bless you so much. See you next time. God bless you.
You are watching God of Wonder TV to refill, refresh, and resent by the word of nation.